Hello everyone and welcome to part 2 of the Fallout 4 review here on the Shredding Skeptic. Today we're going to be talking about getting some new weapons, some better armor, and looking at some questing overall. I'd also like to talk a little bit about my likes and dislikes with Fallout 4 so far, so stock up on stim packs and your favorite ammo type, and let's hit the wasteland. So the footage we're going to look at today is going to be somewhere between levels 8 and 25 as we progress chronologically through our adventures in the Wasteland. Now I did want to make a quick mention of a bit of a hardware update I've done for this video. As you might notice, the slight black bars between some of our game streams here. With a major release like this, I thought it would be a good opportunity to do a quick PC upgrade, so I've switched my center monitor out for a 29-inch LG ultra-wide monitor, which gives us a total resolution here of 6400 by 1080. I did unfortunately have to go back into the preferences of the game to switch it out to this new resolution, but it's really just as simple as punching in the resolution in a text document. Well, 3 text documents to be precise. I still haven't quite figured out the HUD stretch issue, and I know some of the elements on screen are a little bit strangely sized for those of you who are used to playing this on a single screen. It's not particularly a deal breaker for me, so I thought, you know what, I'll just live with it and just get on with playing the game. On our bottom monitor, we're just taking a quick quest through Court 35 in order to obtain a really nice set of armor. So if you guys are familiar with where to find that, I won't spoil that one for you, but if you do know where that is on your map and you are a high enough level, you should be able to take out the adversaries you are going to find at the top of this thing. At the risk of a slight spoiler, I will reveal this is in fact the fabled X01 power armor suit that comes with those sweet glowing eyes when you turn on your Pip-Boy light. It can also be upgraded like any of the other power armor suits, and it's currently giving me a defense bonus of about 1770. Now I will caution you, if you do want to go out venturing into the wasteland in power armor, always keep an eye on that little health gauge, because although you do get a huge amount of defense bonus from the power armor suit, you are not invincible. Things like poison attacks or being too close to an exploding car will result in a swift reload of your save game. As I film this footage now, my character is sitting around level 33, and I have managed to find the Institute. Now, I don't really want to talk too much about that in this video, because if you guys haven't had a chance to get there yet, I definitely want you guys to experience that as a surprise for yourself. That said, Fallout 4 does offer you a choice at that point as to how you'd like to proceed with the Wasteland's recovery. I've managed to remain copacetic with all of the factions so far, so I thought I would take a quick pause from the Wasteland at this point just to do this quick update video and show you guys a little bit more of the footage from the Wasteland. I think I finally reached that point in the game where, like a lot of other RPGs, you finally make that transition from feeling somewhat like a helpless survivor to feeling, well, reasonably powerful and having the confidence to go up against whatever it is the hostile environment you're in can throw your way. For me, this leads me to a bit of a conundrum in many RPGs where no longer am I guided so much by necessity, so I'm often finding myself at a loss as to what to do with my time. So I'll spend a bit of time upgrading the settlement here and there, doing some weapon modifications, maybe upgrading the power armor suit a little bit. Maybe I'll chip away at a few of those Minutemen quests and go help out a few different settlements. Or other times I'll just park myself on a bench at the top of the settlement and simply watch the environment as it goes by. But, alas, at this point, I do have to bring myself to some of the disappointing things about Fallout 4. Now, it's really nothing major. I still find this to be a very enjoyable game experience, but I do also find myself experiencing a bit of deja vu. And it's the kind of deja vu that goes back really, really far, because this game obviously reminds me of Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3, but those games also remind me a lot of Skyrim and Oblivion. And those games remind me a lot of Morrowind and, before that, Daggerfall. Now, we're going back a long, long way, but Again, I always sort of feel like it's the same kind of deal with, just a fresh coat of paint slapped on it. Now, this is especially true for some of the previous Fallout titles, where there are a lot of great upgrades to this, but I really feel as if this is just a lot more of the same. Granted, this obviously does play a lot more like a shooter than the previous games, and it seems to have overcome a lot of the previous limitations that the developers seem to have experienced putting a shooter into a game that seems to have been, well, an engine really that's been designed more for swords and shields. One of the more obvious ways they've done this is by severely reducing the effectiveness of the VAT system that you have access to right from the beginning of the game. In Fallout 3, it really just felt like a very clever way of incorporating an RPG shooter into what would otherwise be just, an RPG sword, shield, axe, Skyrim with guns, basically. But here in Fallout 4, just, going iron sights and shooting is definitely a lot more effective than trying to use VATS full time. I mean, it's unbelievably frustrating to have your character miss 4 shots at point-blank range, and I don't know, it sort of takes me out of the experience a lot more than it did in Fallout 3, because if I'm doing reasonably well against most opponents, and then all of a sudden I'm like, you know what, I'll throw on VATS for this, and the character just totally misses those shots, which, I don't really think I would have reasonably missed if I had just shot them myself. I don't know, it just takes me out of it just a little bit too much, I think. That said, I would definitely love to hear your thoughts in the comments about how you like the implementation of VATS in Fallout 4 relative to, say, Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas. So let's talk a little bit about some of the weapons that I found in the Wasteland and which ones that I personally find to be more effective. I'd like to make a honorable mention to the faction-based grenades that you are able to collect. Now, the one you're going to get through the Minutemen are artillery smoke grenades. Now, the idea with being able to use artillery in this game, although it is somewhat limited by range that isn't all that clearly defined, is basically you throw a smoke grenade and they launch a bunch of nukes at whatever it is you want to have basically turned into glass. A word of caution, they are definitely not the most accurate way of doing business, so if you're looking for precision, I would try something else. It does look pretty sweet though, and I'm glad they did incorporate it into Fallout 4. On our top screen we saw the Shredder minigun. This is basically a minigun that has a bunch of blades on the front that will chop up lots of stuff at close range. Very cool. I like using a scope on the assault rifle, but the unfortunate side effect of the HUD issues is that my crosshair is almost completely invisible, and it's a lot of guesswork and a lot of wasted ammo. For medium to close range engagements, I definitely like the 45 caliber combat rifle with a long barrel and a reflex sight. And through perks, I have a lot of damage bonuses with semi-automatic rifles. For up close and personal work, a combat shotgun with a big old drum magazine on it will dispatch your enemies quite quickly the closer they get. Because ammo doesn't have any weight, I often find it's a good idea to carry a variety of different weapons that all use different calibers. For the 10mm caliber, I'm using the Deliverer pistol found through the quest line of the Railroad. And for the 45 caliber, in addition to my default combat rifle, I also use a special weapon called the Spray and Pray, which is a souped-up Tommy gun that also fires exploding bullets that do a little bit of area damage as well. I was also able to find a 50 caliber marksman rifle, which I outfitted with a suppressor. That one I actually discovered at the top of that lighthouse that we saw at the very beginning of the video. If you take a quick look at our top screen, the artillery is back on display as we try to take out this camp here. As I recall, the raider boss that was there was equipped with a Fat Man, and I was not really interested in having to reload my save again. So if you are faced with someone carrying one of those, try to get up close and personal so that they're less inclined to use that on you. As we can see on the bottom screen there, I also use Kellogg's pistol for the 44 caliber. Now, although all the weapons can be upgraded, one of the other things that's important to upgrade is the armor that you're wearing as well. I particularly like the deep pocket modifications that will allow you to carry a lot more gear. Now, I know there are mods that you can get that will allow you to carry basically as much as you want. And it would definitely mean you would no longer have to pick and choose between what it is you carry with you to the wasteland. I guess it must just be a holdover from all of the other previous games and many other RPGs that have a built-in weight limit. And I agree that given the fact that, you can carry as much as you can carry, and in the variety that you do, I'm not really sure, what they may have been going for here. I mean, they did away with the weapon degradation that was featured in previous Fallout games like Vegas, and I guess that was really just a way of getting rid of a lot of the junk weapons you would find in the wasteland. But now that all of that junk has become so much more valuable, I don't know, maybe it's time to just do away with the weight limit altogether. If you'll recall, Fallout Vegas actually had a hardcore mode that would allow you to basically make it as realistic as possible, and as far as I was concerned, it was basically unplayable. I mean, if you weren't spending all the, day and night looking for food and water and all this other stuff, and spending all this time sleeping and healing, you basically had to pick one weapon and a handful of bullets and stick with it, because even your ammo would have weight. So yeah, maybe I do a bunch of upgrades to the armor to allow me to carry 14 different weapons and, several dozen different varieties of grenades. I do, however, find myself often venturing into the wasteland at or fairly near my carry limit. And yes, it can definitely be frustrating to be somewhat stuck in a settlement trying to decide what it is that you're going to sell and what it is that you're going to need to keep, especially when trying to gauge how much empty inventory space you want to go out into the wasteland with. So perhaps my whole gameplay experience could in fact be enhanced by simply doing away with that headache altogether. I often find myself leaving many items just in the environments that they're in because I either don't have a carry weight or it's less valuable than what I have already. And yes, I could definitely spend a few more skill points in the barter system, but that's also a mechanic that I find somewhat tedious, just sort of going and unloading all of your gear for, a quarter of the value that it's supposed to be worth. But I'm sure many of you do enjoy the barter system, and I would love to hear your thoughts about that in the comments section. Also, stay tuned for an episode next week after the release of Just Cause 3. I'm gonna try to have a video up on that one as soon as possible, depending on how much tweaking I have to do to get it working properly. And yeah, maybe just getting it on console would be easier and just playing it on a single TV screen or something like that, but there's certainly something gratifying about tweaking a game and getting it working exactly to your specifications, and in this particular instance, trying to get it to run across 3 displays of different sizes. So again, I'd like to give another big shout out to the guys and girls over at the Widescreen Gaming Forum who were relentless in trying to get this thing up and running to the best of everyone's ability. And it did take a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of back and forth, a few different patches of files. And I mean, I feel you guys, this is a bit of a pain trying to get a game of, especially a AAA title at full price. Having to go in and tweak it, it does kind of suck, but this is about as good as I've been able to get it running so far, and I would certainly love to hear from you in the comment section, either on the YouTube page or on the forum over at WSGF, and let me know what your experience has been like so far, and if there's anything else that maybe I could go in and tweak to make this footage look just that much better. Now, I know the multi-monitor experience is not for everybody, and that's particularly why I like to alter the game footage to bring you 3 streams at a time, so that you can still sort of get that triple screen experience, or at least a taste of what that might look like on the single screen. I would also definitely like to do one more follow-up video for Fallout 4, probably in about a month's time, maybe just spend some time and put together a collection of really cool highlights that, maybe I'll take it all the way up to level 50 and then make another video. I'd love it if you'd join me on that adventure as well, so if you like this kind of format, definitely drop a like on the video, and I invite you to subscribe to tune into the next adventure of the Shredding Skeptic. If you only have time to leave a comment, I'd certainly love to hear what mods you guys have found to be the most fun for you, as well as any subjective equipment choices, such as weapons or armor, that you find to be the most effective in the Wasteland. So, other than that, thanks very much for tuning into this episode of The Shredding Skeptic. Let's roll some tunes and watch the rest of these replays.